help you improve your jokes. But here's the truth. My jokes are better than these jokes in these books, okay? So I'm going to read one. You're going to find out that I'm really a comedian. All right? Never want to be. All right? So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to vent today, just for like 2 minutes. I'm going to vent. And I want to start off with one of these cheesy jokes to show you that I'm a better comedian, okay? Here's one. What kind of book did Frankenstein monster enjoy to read? What book did Frankenstein enjoy reading? What type of books? What did you say? A book with a cemetery plot. Really?
That's good.
Thank you. Thank you. Now I'm going to vent, and this is not a joke, okay? So, let me tell a story. So 2 days ago, I was at a coffee shop. You know, I was excited about it. My wife and I was really excited. And there's a coffee shop right around the corner from us. We decided to go there. We decided to go there with the baby. So as we walk into this coffee shop, there was a gentleman there, and he was smoking a cigarette right in the coffee shop. I'm like, sir, we have a baby. He was like, yeah, but I'm smoking a cigarette for a reason. I'm like, for a reason? I'm like, when do we smoke cigarettes in the coffee shop? Then he goes up to the cashier. I'm behind him. He says, I want a coffee. Keep in mind the coffees are like $5 each coffee. He puts 50 cents on the table and he walks away. He says, here's the 50 cents for my coffee. I said, you're smoking a cigarette and 50 cents for a coffee? He says, yes. And I said, okay, please explain your reasoning because I want to pay 50 cents for a coffee. Well, he says, well, as you walked in, the coffee shop said no Wi-Fi. So I figured, since the coffee shop wants to live in the 50s, I'll treat it as such.
That's not even funny. Sorry, Barnabas. Pull the book back.
You guys didn't catch that? Fair, a coffee shop without Wi-Fi is impossible in the 20th century. It doesn't exist. Oh, man. You guys are harder than I thought. Okay, one more. Let me redeem myself. Can I redeem myself?
Yes.
That was a joke. You're not. I'm out of it. But thank you guys for listening. Okay? But it was better than a dad joke, wasn't it?
No, the first one was better.
Okay, I'm going to come next time with a better one, so make sure you invite your friends, okay? I'm going to open up in prayer for us this morning. Let us pray. Oh, Heavenly Gracious Father, thank you for laughter. Thank you for friends. Thank you for joy. This is the holiday season where we expect to have the most joy, but we know that during the season, there are a lot of people right now that's grieving the loss of so many loved ones, friends, children, and so many others. So right now, I ask for a peace for those that's having a hard time. I pray for joy for those that's struggling with that. But at the same time, Father, I pray that you give us peace, all of us, during this season so that we could enjoy each other and the blessings that we have, the blessings of life, the blessings of friends, and the families we do have here. As we conduct today's meeting, I hope it's in a way of love and kindness. You be the center of all things. Guide us as we prepare for a new year of blessings, Father. Thank you for allowing us to be here today and be with us as we continue to strive to change the world in our own way. In your name we pray. Amen.
All right. Thank you, Barnabas. So I'd like to welcome you to our monthly Ask the Director meeting. And today we're going to start off with a request. I think Buddy actually asked the question last month about the wellness clinic charges that were listed in the ancillary fee schedule that you received back in October for the coming year. And so I asked Cheryl Homer, our nurse practitioner, to join us today, and she and I are going to present what those charges are, what they look like, and explain the nurse clinic, the wellness clinic, and what you can expect normally, how it works, how it operates. So with that, please join me in welcoming Cheryl.
Good morning, everybody. I see lots of familiar faces. So there's, on the charges, we just want to explain a couple things. Everybody, am I close enough? Can you all hear me? Okay. So first off, there have been charges. They're not new. Honestly, I'll be the first to admit that I have previously not put charges through for things that probably should have been, okay? When you see me as a patient, that's entirely different. Now, there are some things that we offer for residents that are based on a fee-for-service. So for an example, anybody living in an independent apartment, if you have injections that are needed, dressing changes, things like that that are needed, the clinic can help you with those, or home health services, depending. And yes, there is a fee for those types of things. So some of the examples that they gave you were eye drop administration. And a perfect example, some people have trouble putting drops in. After cataract surgery, usually you're going to be putting in drops 3 times a day for a couple weeks, being a steroid, an antibiotic, et cetera, that's needed for the healing process of the cataracts. So those residents who don't have the capability, they may have tremors in their hands shake, or they just have difficulty opening their eye. Those services are available, but again, it is for a fee. Checking your blood glucose level, dressing changes, major and minor. Well, we've been doing those for a long time, and we actually have been neglecting to charge for those items. This is nothing new. It's been there, okay? We just have been not doing it, okay? A minor thing might be a skin tear. We know as we get older, our skin does thin, and it's very easy to get a little tear. You bump into something. So those supplies that we use, we have not been charging for, and that does add up over a 12-month period. So the other part of that service is either the nurse or myself doing the cleaning of the wound and the actual process of putting the dressing on. And again, it's supposed to have been a chargeable item, and we were not doing that. Injections, so we have some people that take medications for different reasons. Some are every 6 months for osteoporosis. They don't want to stick themselves. And again, that's a chargeable, which we have not been doing. So these are things that technically you should be doing or you can't do, but we're helping you do those, okay? And this is just an example of some of those things. And remember that home health services also helps provide some of those services as well. If it's something that's on a longer term basis, then that's usually who you're going to utilize rather than the clinic, and they're usually going to give you I don't want to say a cut, but it's a different fee if you're doing something for a month versus doing something one day kind of thing. So yeah, I was going to say, do you want to move that to the next? So in the clinic itself, I do have residents here that utilize me as their primary care practitioner. And as some of the physicians in the area have becoming concierges, a lot of people feel like I already pay for insurance, why am I paying a physician? So I have had some increased in patients that do come to see me. How I bill, if you're utilizing my services as a nurse practitioner, the billing is based on the insurance company, okay? So we have strict rules and regulations regarding billing for the insurance companies. And the insurance companies, we basically have it broken up into levels. So we have a level 2, 3, 4, and 5, okay? Just to give you an example of what all that means, something simple. So a woman comes to me and says, oh, I'm having burning every time I go to the bathroom. I think I have an infection. That's a simple process. She's gonna be with me 10, 15 minutes. We'll do a urine check. I'll have to do an exam, and that's gonna be a minor, short visit, okay? So as you can see up on the screen, there's actually 2 columns. I should have explained that first. One says new patient, the other says follow-up patient. So that's the difference as well. So if I see this person, I've never seen them before, and they come to see me for this urine, my first time I see them, it's gonna be a level 2, which is $80, okay? When they come back to see me as a follow-up, let's say the antibiotic didn't work, or it did work, whatever, they come back as a follow-up, then it's gonna end up being a level 1 with a minimal charge. Those are the charges that go to your insurance company. They don't go to you. They actually go to your Medicare or Aetna or whoever you happen to have, okay? Level 3, again, for a new patient, it's a little more money, a level 4 and a level 5. So it really depends on what the problem is, and we do bill the insurance companies. Now, there are other things that we bill the insurance companies for that they cover that we don't bill you for. One of them is your ears. So we have a lot of seniors, again, that have problems with their ears. And this is a typical thing. It's nothing that you've done wrong. But as you may or may not know, inside the ears, just like inside our nose, are little tiny hairs called cilia. They're supposed to help that wax come forward. But as we get older, again, they don't do their job. They kind of slow down. And plus, when we wear hearing aids, that also, in some cases, prevents the wax from coming forward. So Medicare and the insurance companies allow us a fee to clean your ears, okay? Your analysis testing, again, we have to buy those supplies to pay for that. So now, in my office visit, if you're coming to me for that your analysis testing of $12 is actually included in that other fee. So you wouldn't necessarily see a separate fee for that, okay? INRs, we have a lot of residents here that are on blood thinning medications, mainly Coumadin or warfarin. Some of you are on others that don't require the INR. So Eliquis, Xarelto, we don't have to do an INR. But if you're on the Coumadin, we do that. And you come to us at your convenience. We have no problem with that. And again, that's a billable service. We do that, and we bill it to your insurance company, okay? That's pretty much what all this is. Does anybody have particular questions? Mm-hmm.
I'm confused a bit about the difference between this slide, nurse practitioner, and the first ones that you gave about eye drops and bandages. Where does Medicare come in on those items?
They do not. So for an example, okay, when you have cataract surgery, the majority of the population are living in your own home, okay? So your apartment, you're an independent person in your home. The insurance company covers the cost of the drug, but they expect you as an independent person to be able to put that drug, those drops in your eyes, okay? Now, if I'm a resident and I'm actually living in Willowbrook or having help in assisted living, that's where I live. I don't live in an independent apartment. Then there's staff there to help with that. But if you're in an independent apartment, you got to remember what the word independent means. That means it's like me going home to my house every day. I'm independent, I go home, so does Barnabas. So I'm expected to be able to do those things. There's certain medications that physicians prescribe that you can do on your own. For example, the women that use Prolia for osteoporosis. It's a medication in a needle, like a diabetic giving themselves insulin. You give it subcutaneously. You should be able to do that. They're supposed to teach you how to do that. Those of you that are diabetics that have seen the Libre that you put in your arm and you can take your phone and get your blood sugar reading from that. That's independent. Your practitioner, your doctor, should have taught you, and you shouldn't be having that at home if you don't know how to do it. But we've got people that come to us all the time and say, I don't want to stick myself, can you do it? Well, we can do that, but you're utilizing our time, and we can't submit that. But we can put that onto your bill. The $8 is what it costs for an injection.
One second.
Mm-hmm. If a woman comes to you with a UTI and you prescribe a medication, do you give her the medication or do you forward it to a pharmacy?
No, all prescriptions go through pharmacy. So in the clinic, we function as a doctor's office. We do not have medications. I do not get free samples from vendors. When I worked in private practice office before, I used to have free samples of different medications that I could give out to somebody. I don't have that luxury here in this setting. I send prescriptions, and all prescriptions are preferred. Nowadays, we are actually governed to give those prescriptions via the computer. So I email, if you want to think of it as an email, but it's actually it's a program directly that goes to the pharmacy, and then if it's something other than an antibiotic, blood pressure pill, whatever, there's an identification that the pharmacy knows. We have a system that they know it's me, and we have a code and everything, so they know it's a real, legit prescription that's coming to them, not just somebody off the street sending in a prescription for, say, narcotics or something. So it's all coded, and this is what the government actually insisted. Those doctors' offices and clinics that had not gone live on computer, what we call e-script, if they hadn't gone live on that, we actually had to sign a piece of paper and send it. So at one point, I worked in the prison system, and we hadn't gone on the computer for e-scripts yet, because we had our own pharmacy, in the computer system, our own system within the prison system, the state of Florida. So I had to sign papers for the state of Florida at that point saying, I don't have access to e-script. I have to manually write a prescription and send it to the pharmacy. But that was whole different because that was the state itself that ran the prison. So it's a little different environment. But everything I send goes electronically. It's rare for anything. Now, could I write a script and give it to you manually for you to take? I could do that. The drugstores don't want that. The state of Florida doesn't want that. They want it to go electronically. Now, the other thing that I want you to understand, because this has happened, and it bothers me, and I have no control over this. So, for an example, a resident called me yesterday and told me they needed a refill on the medication. So I sent the medication to the pharmacy. They called the pharmacy 2 hours later, it's not there. So they call me back, where's my prescription? I said I sent it. So I thought, okay, I went into the system and I can confirm where it said it was sent and what pharmacy it went to and at what time. So I thought, okay, this is before I knew how the system worked, and I sent it a second time. A couple hours later, I got a phone call again. I'm like, wait a minute, so I did it a third time. At that point, I said something's wrong. So I called a couple pharmacies for my own information. I wanted to know. So if you use any of the large pharmacies, and I mean CVS, Walgreens, any of the larger ones, Publix is not quite as bad. They're different from the smaller pharmacies. So Boca Pharmacy is a private pharmacy. It's a little bit different. I still send it computerized, okay? But they don't have a mainframe. So what I was told by CVS and Walgreens one time was that, yes, they got my prescription, and they got it 3 times because I sent it 3 times. What happens is that they have these big, and in my mind, I'm trying to envision what this would look like, but as he described to me, this big mainframe, and they have like a couple in the state of Florida. So there was one over near Tampa, and what happens is I send the prescription to CVS, it goes to their mainframe computer. From there, that computer says, oh, this is going to Fort Lauderdale. Oh, this is going to Boca. Oh, this is going to Ocala, Orlando. And it sends that prescription to those pharmacies. So sometimes the pharmacists do not get that prescription immediately after I send it. So I didn't know that until I called the stores because I was getting frustrated because that one time it happened to be a weekend and I had already called it like 3 different times. I'm like, what's going on? Where is this? I keep sending it. And that's what they informed me about these mainframes. So it doesn't go directly to that store immediately. Now, have they changed any of that? I want to tell you that was like 4 years ago when I found that out. I don't know if they've changed that or not, but as of 4 years ago, that's what would happen for all these big pharmacies. It just goes to a mainframe, and then that mainframe sends it out. So think about this. As large as the state of Florida is, and think of as many people that live in our state, I have no idea, millions. If you had even 30 doctors all sending a prescription at the exact same time or within, minutes of each other, obviously all of those prescriptions, that's why it takes a while to get there. That's why they all go to that main computer, and then that computer is the intelligence to say, I'm sending it to this particular store in Boca, or I'm sending it to this store in Fort Lauderdale. So if it still works that way, that's why if you call and they say, there's no prescription there yet, that may be why, okay? But I always encourage you to call us back. If you call again and it's not there, don't hesitate to call because equipment is equipment and things fail, okay? So even though I see on my end it says the date and time that it arrived or I sent it, that doesn't mean that that particular pharmacy got it at that point. So don't ever hesitate to call and check on that. I don't mind double checking, triple checking, But those are the things that I didn't know that I found out just because I was getting frustrated with so many people saying, I didn't get my prescription. I'm like, I know I did it. I know I did it. I've got proof here. And the same thing with faxes. A lot of times we'll draw your blood work and we'll send that fax to other doctor's offices. And we had a doctor's office just the other day that said they never sent it. Well, I have my cover sheet from my fax machine that says I sent that lab work to their office on December 19th. Exactly what time, how many pages, and there's a spot where it says received. And if there's a letter E, it didn't go through. But if it's received, it tells us it's okay. So I know they got it. I know it went to them. Now, who took it off their fax machine and where it went, I don't know. So a lot of times we'll get repeat calls regarding the need for the blood work to be faxed to the doctor. But don't hesitate to ask us. We'll double check, and that's not a problem. Anything else that you guys can think of, questions about the clinic?
Hold on 1 second.
If you have a drug plan with, say, CVS, for example, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. You can sign up, and once they get your prescription and they have it filled, they will text you back, your prescription is ready. So if you're able to do that, it makes it much easier. Then you don't have to keep worrying,
nice.
is it ready? But it's just a suggestion.
That's nice to know. Hey, buddy.
Be aware that Boca Pharmacy will deliver any single prescription that they receive before 3 o'clock in the afternoon. You'll get it that same night. And they're about the only pharmacy around here that does that.
They are. And I will say, I know I've heard some various residents talking about the prices. And obviously, price is a concern for all of us. Let's face it. If I can get a drug at one store for $10, another store wants to charge me $15, why do I want to pay $15? It's the same thing with over-the-counter meds. So Boca Pharmacy has been very, very helpful and cooperative when I've wanted to get over-the-counter meds for a resident. So somebody's got a cold and they need cough medication, or maybe they need a decongestant. I've called them, and their staff, I have to say for Boca, their staff is phenomenal. I mean, the girl actually went to a counter one day, came back and told me what my choices were that I could have them deliver to that resident. No other pharmacy can I call, CVS, Walgreens, anybody else, and say, hey, what kind of cough syrup do you have? I need some for a patient. Nobody else is going to do that. I mean, that's the one nice thing about Boca. I mean, I was so impressed that they've done that more than once for me. Literally gone to their shelf and tell me exactly what they have in stock so that I could get the right thing for that person and get it delivered. So that is one of the great things about them. And the other great thing about them, and I don't know about anybody else's frustrations in the room, my frustration with the big pharmacies is every time I call Walgreens, CVS, whatever, if I want to physically call in a script, I sit on hold and hold and hold. Boca answers their phone immediately. I get to talk to a pharmacist immediately. If I have a question about the drug itself or the dose and that I can't find it in my resources, I call them and they give me the answers. The other stores, I wait and wait and wait. So there are some, I'm not selling Boca to you, honestly, but I'm just telling you that I've had personally nothing but good experiences with them.
All right. Well, thank you, Cheryl. I want to just share, we're very blessed to have Cheryl and her team here. Cheryl's a great clinician and just really cares about the patients she serves. So thank you very much. Okay.
Tell them they give me a cut. I don't mean to advertise them, but I can't tell you how, as a provider, there's nothing more frustrating than trying to help a patient and you can't get resources that you need. And to have a pharmacist get on the phone with you right away and be able to answer your questions, it's worth $1 million because time, face it, right? Time is money, as they always said, right? So 10 minutes versus 30 minutes on hold.
Thank you, Cheryl. Okay, so I wanted to switch. Yeah, Happy New Year. I wanted to switch gears and just remind everyone who uses private duty aides or outside housekeepers to please make sure they're not parking in the front parking area around the circle and in those parking areas. Yesterday we had over 6 private duty aides parking in those main spots so that when you have visitors, family members coming, there is no parking for them. So private duty aides, let's remember they are paid, and so they should not be parking in those spots because those are really for guest spots. A resident asked us to talk about the barrier fence between B and C building along the back of the community. They asked what it is, who is doing it, and when will that project be completed. So the seawall next door with our neighbors in Costa del Sol is being renovated or installed because the wooden wall that was there before was deteriorating. So the purpose is to prevent erosion of the yards, and there's a white aluminum fence being installed along the wall to act as a security barrier. The land in front of the wall will be returned to its previous state, which is basically sod. So there are no plans to add shrubs there, and that area will just simply have sod. Once they are complete with that project, that fence will be closed, and that project should be completed, hopefully in January, if not January, by February of this incoming or this coming year. Any questions on the seawall? Yes, Judy. Barnabas, do you mind? Thank you. Okay.
Thank you. I understand that it would be expensive, I'm sure, to put some shrubs in front of it, but I don't, the composition of the wall, it looks a bit like concrete, white concrete, looking at it. And I mean, that's very different from what the C and the B buildings were looking at before, which was various types of fences and colors and distances of ups, what do you call it, Gerald? Anyway, the fences were assorted before, and you could see the gardens through. So, in fact, we were looking at greenery, and now we're looking at a very plain, like the screen there, that's the color that we're looking at, a solid wall. And I do think it would be nice. I don't know whether that's ACT's territory there or whether it's an easement. I don't know who it belongs to, but it would be nice to have something in front of it, even if it's short, halfway shrubs.
Let's let the project be completed, and then we'll take a look at it, find out exactly what part of it is our property, what part is the easement, what can we do. We'll investigate. Can we put some vegetation out there that would make it a little more interesting? We just need to make sure it's irrigated. We need to make sure it's our the property.
Yes.
And so we'll have to do some more research on that.
Right, thank you. But the only thing is, I mean, if sod is put right up to the fence, and then it's decided to put some greenery, bushes, that's sort of a waste too. So
that's true.
Maybe it could be sort of thought about and coordinated, and I appreciate your response.
Okay,
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so carport parking, there is a monthly charge for carport parking, and I've been told that there are some residents who are parking in carports and are not being charged. So just wanted to let everyone know, if you are not being charged, let us know. We'll gladly assign you a spot, but there is a monthly charge. I believe it's $40. Is that correct?
Yeah, no.
Okay.
Now, I have a
Elaine.
question.
Yes.
A lot of times I go to the gym and the aides are using the equipment and there's no equipment available. Are they allowed to do that?
Okay, so if they're employees of ACTS, they're permitted to use the equipment.
Well,
If they are not employees of ACTS, we ask them not to use the equipment. If it's one of our home health aides using it, they should always exit the equipment so that residents can use it. So employees are allowed to use the gym, but of course, if a resident comes in, the resident has first priority over the equipment. Well, what I would suggest is, if you see an aide who's not an employee, let privately talk with our fitness director, Tony, and let him know, and then we can call the resident and talk with the private aide.
Hello, Susan. Chris, I like to talk about security as far as the front by the lobby. We have cameras all over the place, but we do not have a camera facing from the lobby doors out. So our guard doesn't know what's happening. And I spoke to him. He says, I can't do nothing. I don't have a camera out there. Can we
Okay,
have a camera installed maybe? So that,
yeah, we can look at that at the front entrance.
yes, yeah,
Okay.
there's no visual.
Good, thank you.
Right.
Okay, so I wanted to remind anyone who uses an electric cart to please store the cart inside the apartment, not in the hallway, because the fire department would not want any carts out in the hallway. So please, if you use an electric cart, please store it in the apartment. Okay, I wanted to share with you about Vimeo. So you received a confusing email for those of you on the forum about Vimeo, and Vimeo is going to be our new future in-house channel, and this will take the place of Channel 95 eventually. So for a short time, we will have Channel 95 and we will have Vimeo. Once Channel 95 goes away, we will only have Vimeo. Now, how many of you have Netflix in your home? Okay, so many of you know and are used to changing your HDMI to the Netflix HDMI channel or actual input. So it's going to work the same way. You'll actually have a little piece of equipment. You'll have a channel flipper, if you will, and you will change your channel to the HDMI that runs Vimeo. On Vimeo, and I had hoped to have a demonstration where I could actually visually show you what you can expect to see, but you can actually go either via web base or you can go on your TV and get to the Vimeo channel. In that channel, it's kind of like Netflix where you can pick movies, you can pick topics, you can pick subjects and watch different programs. It'll be similar to that. The only downside to Vimeo is that we will not be airing any movies because it's too costly. Because of the licensing fees, we will not be able to air in-house movies like we do today. So in the future, when Channel 95 goes away, the movies that we show will only be here in the auditorium. Now, that has an upside that encourages people to get out of their apartment, to come to the auditorium, to visit after a movie, maybe to discuss the movie with friends. So there's a social upside to that, but I know many of you watch the movies in-house and then maybe discuss them with friends the next day. So the Channel 95, when that goes away, in-house movies will only be shown here. Any questions on Vimeo?
Hold on 1 second.
Okay, we have one at Chris.
On that video, I'm just curious. I read something about where K4 is going to be used instead of the AX internet. Is that correct?
So K4 is coming, but that's going to be separate from Vimeo.
We have K4 now that's being used.
You have K4 for the motion detector.
So when that goes into effect, is AX out of the picture, the AX internet?
I don't know that
Okay.
answer.
It's a good question because a lot of people use it and maybe they'll be out of business. Thank you.
Right. I'm not sure, Chris.
When you mention using Netflix and changing it from ID1 to ID2, I don't have to do that.
Okay, so do you just simply go through your cable box to get to Netflix?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm behind the times because I have a separate HDMI for Netflix, so I literally have to change my TV to that HDMI port.
Just the input button. Just
so
press.
maybe you can teach me a thing or two.
What she meant to say was the input button on your tuner. You just hit input and you change it from HDMI 1 to HDMI 2, and this little box will be connected to one of the HDMI ports. So you just click over back and forth by pressing input to get there.
It's going to be easy. Once you do it a few times, you'll know how to do it. We'll have training, of course. We'll have DeAndre, who's an expert. will help. He's so patient with all of us. He will help you as well. So not to worry. We will make sure you understand how to use it.
Is there going to be an additional charge for this?
No, this just takes the place of Channel 95. The good thing about Vimeo is everything can be live streamed, right? You know, as we're doing it, so that this meeting would be on live stream, and then we'll record it right there and then, and it will be uploaded right away. So you can actually go and watch Ask the Director, you can watch a town hall meeting, you can watch the resident board meetings, and they'll be saved in a different folder. So you'll easily be able to find what you're looking for within the channel.
Well, I'm a little confused. You just said that we are not going to be able to watch movies. What about like entertainment or the director's meeting? We still will be able to watch it on this?
Yes. The only things are the licensed movies, you know, the Hollywood movies. There's the licensing fees are too expensive that we can't do that without the licensing fees. Okay, and Buddy has a question.
Yeah, buddy, I'm coming right now. Sorry, didn't see your hand. Yeah, buddy. Sorry.
Yesterday, Boca Point was using our 95 channel, and we were watching Boca Point in-house video all day long. That was yesterday. Does that mean that we could get in on their channel as well? Because they are paying the fee for the movies.
No, I don't. Alan, do you know anything about that? Anyone else see Boca Point on the in-house channel?
Yes.
Okay, anyone else?
All day yesterday.
Okay, anyone turn on channel 95 besides Buddy yesterday? Okay, I'm not sure how that would happen because it's a separate channel.
That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, it's a fluke. It was not planned. Okay, so I wanted to change the subject and talk about last month I had mentioned that in the newer resident contracts that there's a section that allows you to designate any refunds to beneficiaries other than the estate of. I don't know if you remember that conversation, but when we issue a refund when someone passes away, either it's an entrance fee or a credit towards a monthly fee, we always issue that check to the estate of, but many people are no longer opening up estates. So our newer resident contracts have a provision that you can actually designate your beneficiary. So I created, at the suggestion of a resident last month, a form letter that you can simply fill out. And basically you tell us who to issue the beneficiary refund to. It has to be up to 100%. So if you have 2 kids, maybe it's 75, 25. If you have a favorite child, or maybe it's 50-50. But it has to equal 100%. You must sign it and date it, and then have at least 2 witnesses. And then simply turn this back into the front desk or Marty or Tashia, and we'll upload it to your file so that when the time comes, we know exactly who to issue any refunds to. Chris?
Hold on, Chris. I'm sorry.
Just a simple thing. You said 2 signatures. I appreciate that, but Marty or somebody else are certified, has to be certified to stamp on it. You can't just issue it.
No, it does not have to be notarized.
It does not?
No, just 2 witnesses. Now, Tashia would like us to have Marty notarize it, but it's not necessary. It's just 2 witnesses with their date, and turn this back into Marty, and we'll make sure refunds go to those people.
The reason why I had to do that, and Marty was my, so that's my lawyer told me to have that done. So I would check again with that
Right. For our contract purposes, do not require the notary. But if you're writing an estate or something like that with beneficiaries, that might require a notary. But in terms of what ACTS requires for your refund of either the entrance fee or the monthly fee, just simply 2 witnesses.
Susan, is there any time limit on that? Like if somebody's been here 25 years, would the family still get that rebate?
Okay, so your entrance fee is amortized over 60 months. No, not 60, 50 months, sorry. And so with that, after 50 months of living here, there's no entrance fee refund. But there's always going to be perhaps a monthly fee refund because we bill ahead of time. So January, you're paying for January's monthly fee. Should someone pass January 5th, you've already paid for the full month. We are going to issue a credit for 26 days of that month back to your beneficiary. So typically, there's usually always a credit unless you owe additional fees that offset what the credit would be.
Hi, I have a question about that. Because I had read somewhere that if something happens to you, pass away, there's a fee to clean out your apartment. So, I mean, wouldn't one hand wash the other in a way?
So we prefer not to clean out the apartments. We prefer that you have your family clean it out because we don't have a lot of additional staff to do that. But if we have to clean out an apartment, we do have a fee up to $2,500 based on the size of the apartment, the magnitude of the clean out. So if it's, if it's removing a dresser or a bed, we're not going to be charging $2,500. We're going to be obviously very fair in whatever that charge is. But if we have to do the entire apartment, it could be up to $2,500. But we prefer that you have provisions. Usually family come in, they go through everything that they would like, that they want to donate, and they take care of those items. Yes.
Yes, I have a question. Okay. Is she ready for it? Hi, I'm here exactly 2 years. It will be January 3rd. At the time that I came in, I needed new hearing aids. And so I took advantage of the person you had on board that was able to help me. And he was very good. And he came a year later and cleaned them and replaced some parts. And they're still working, but I know in the future, soon, I will be needing service. So is there any chance you can get this company back?
Okay, so we can talk offline about who the company is, but typically we will have providers who will come in and then periodically we'll change the providers. And if we change the providers, then you would simply go to their office. So we can talk offline on who that provider was or is, and I can share with you what the options are. Okay, so okay, Buddy.
A simple question. Our 2024 charges are going to go up 4.5%. Why doesn't the recurring credits that we have go up 4.5%?
So it's the credits like meal credit and things like that. They really look at the cost of each item and then they make a decision. They don't up them 4.5%. Food costs might be going up 10% versus 4.5%. So they look at each ancillary credit differently. All right. I have some bad news I wanted to share, and most of you already know that Dawn from Culinary has resigned her position. So I believe her last day is January 17th. If my Mary Lou is due. Okay, I'm pretty sure that's the date that we wrote in the letter. So just wanted to make sure everyone knew. We hate to see her leave. but she is going to be working locally and helping to open some new restaurants up. So we wish her well, and we hope to see her in the future. Shirley, our DON, is also leaving. Yes. So she is relatively new to us, and she was actually sought out by a local company, and she is going to be a regional manager for a chain of nursing homes. And so she was made an offer she couldn't refuse. So Shirley actually will be leaving us as well. So sometimes things come in threes. Let's hope not. Let's hope it's just twos, because both Shirley and Dawn are great team members, have been doing such a great job for Edgewater, and we hate to see both of them leave.
Don't worry, I'm not leaving.
I'm sorry?
Don't worry, I'm not leaving.
Okay, thank you. Your jokes can go, though. Sorry.
That was a joke, by the way. That was a joke.
Okay, I wanted to also share some good news on the flip side. Willowbrook Court had their federal/state inspection a couple weeks ago, and we had a perfect life safety inspection, 0 deficiencies. And that's thanks in large part to Ross and his team members. That is really hard to achieve, is to have 0 life safety deficiencies. Our survey for resident care, we had 0 deficiencies on resident care. We did have 2 culinary citations, and one was related to a menu item where the recipe wasn't followed. And so that we were dinged on, and then the other one was related to some sanitation inspection issues in the kitchen, and I'll give you some examples. So if you have a pan, and the pan is, as we use the pans, they're on the grill or on the burners, and they end up having carbon buildup on the outside. That was one of the examples. We had some chipped paint on a large mixing bowl container, not the container itself, but on the actual equipment. That was part of the sanitation issue. So they go through and they look at every single piece of equipment. They look at the kitchen. They look in the refrigerators. They inspect everything. So we did have 2 citations. They will be back within 30 days of the inspection, and they'll be re-inspecting those areas as well. Any questions on that?
Sorry.
Susan, I don't have a question on those 2 items that you just mentioned, but I do have a question on the parking lot A, where I park.
Okay.
There are holes leading up to the pathway, which are very dangerous. Is that going to be fixed in the near future?
They should be, and I'll go out and take a look. But anytime you see a pothole in a parking lot, let the front desk know so Susan can put it in as a maintenance work order. And if you can describe if it's close to A1.
Well, this is in parking lot 106.
106.
In the
okay.
A building.
All right, thank you. We'll put a work order and
Great.
get it fixed. Okay.
You got one more question.
Okay, well, can we finish, unless it's not related to the topic, let's finish the agenda and then we'll open it up to other topics. I wanted to I have a bunch of thank yous, and I know I'm going to miss someone. So I hope that you all know that we appreciate all that you do year-round, but I wanted to provide some special thank yous. Diane Hoflick, is she here? No, Diane and her spiritual ritual committee, I wanted to thank her and her leadership. We had a nice Hanukkah dinner on December 7th, and I think everyone enjoyed it. I'd like to thank Mary Lou Gladstone and Buddy Harris and Ellen and everyone else who was a part of the Artway grand opening, the artists who participated. the display of all their great artwork is appreciated. That hallway is so different now, and it's a a conversation piece, and DeAndre and his brother also have poetry up there. So please check it out if you haven't. But that was a great grand opening, and we just appreciate it. Okay, the Resident Decorating Committee. I just want to thank the residents who are on that committee for making Hanukkah and Christmas so festive this year, and just such a special time during our year, and very decorative and very festive. So thank you, Decorating Committee. We also have Ellen, Darren, Ross, and all the managers for pitching in during the holidays to make sure that we had great holiday programs, decorations, and wonderful meals for the season. I want to thank the resident board and the resident committees for a great 2023. I think each committee member and each committee chair did their level best to improve in those areas. And the resident board really does have your best interest at heart, and will challenge management in a very positive way to make sure things are better and improved. So just thank you to the resident board and the committees. I also want to thank Helen Laver. She donated 28 tickets to the Boca Orchid Society show that's going to take place in February 2024. So thank you very much, Helen, for doing that. Also, all the volunteers and residents who volunteered throughout the year. The Resident Scholarship Committee, thank you for your hard work and for helping further educate the team members that work in culinary. And lastly, not lastly, I have a couple more. The Employee Appreciation Fund, thank you very much for the committee, as well as the gifts that you provided to the team members. It really makes a huge difference during the holidays with that gift. Mariel Gorvine and her social committee, they've been hard at work all year, making sure we had lots of great events. And we have a New Year's Eve dance coming up on New Year's Eve, beginning at 7 o'clock, and it's going to be in this room. So please join us and sign up if you're going to join us. And I know I'm missing other residents, and other great things have happened throughout the year, but please forgive me for that. I'm just highlighting a lot of the great things that come to mind, and we just had a great year and a wonderful holiday season. So the last two items I have is the Edgewater traffic light. I did get an update this morning from the county, and they anticipate that the project will finish by spring of 2024. There's some material delays, and they're waiting for the actual arm mast to be delivered, but their projection is spring of 2024. Is that correct, Carol? Yes. Okay.
So that it doesn't. So when they say spring, I think they mean for the completion.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Spring
So
of
this is all
2024.
I've been told.
Thank you. Okay, and then Tony. I thought I saw Tony pop his head in, but he left. So Olympiacs, as you know, we're hosts. That's my computer is calling. I don't know if you can hear that, but Olympiacs is being hosted here at Edgewater on March 6th. And we have some great games. The games include walking relay, putting, cornhole, pickleball, ping pong, chair volleyball, billiards, jigsaw puzzle, and spelling bee. And we will be having tryouts beginning January 8th. So there'll be a flyer posted with the tryout times and locations. Feel free to sign up. We really do need people to sign up. Even if you're not a great athlete, we'd love for you to try out and participate, because we really do want to bring home the gold, especially because we're hosting this year. So with that, I'd like to open the meeting up to any other topics.
Susan, last month there was an issue at the front entrance, where the front entrance was totally blocked and there was no exit. And that is certainly a hazardous condition in the event that it's blocked and I need 911 to come to me. What in the last month has progressed in providing a second emergency entrance?
Okay, so just so you know, there is an emergency entrance that we can open if we had to have an ambulance come through on our property. But that's not what we want to do long term. We would like to have perhaps a driveway on power line that would be closed but available should we have to close the front entrance. So I've reached out to our corporate office, and they know that this needs to be a project and we need to review it and have a plan in place. It will take a while, but we will have a plan in place to see if we can add an additional secondary drive, not just an emergency drive like we have today. There's no date, Ellie. It will take a while, because whatever we do, we're going to have to go through engineering. We're going to have to go through the county. I mean, it will not be, you know, first quarter of next year. It will take a while to have that. That's constructing a new driveway. That's getting the Palm Beach County Traffic and Control involved. That's a very detailed project. So it's a good project that we need to do, to look at, to see if we can do it. But we do have an emergency way. If we had to have an ambulance come in, we would have gotten the ambulance in.
Oh, Susan?
Yes, Harleen.
The third week in a row, that room has been left a complete mess, and we have to put back all the tables and chairs, and I would like some kind of notice to the card players that play there on Wednesday to please not leave it the way it is. I can't move furniture for them.
Okay, fair enough. Well, so when do the card players on Wednesday play? When? So I can show up and ask them. We will verbally ask them as a group to. Okay, I'll get with Ellen, and I'll put it on my calendar to show up and ask them to put things back where they found them. Thank you. Buddy.
Back to Vimeo. Residents have ownership of DVDs of movies. If we give those to Ellen to show, can we do that on Vimeo?
No, it's a licensing
but it's
issue.
It's a personal
right, but
we own.
Right, but because we're a business, we cannot do that. We would have to get a license to show the video on Vimeo.
Isn't that only because you charge? If you don't charge, you can use it.
No. If you invited people to your home and showed a video, that's different than an organization broadcasting it to every room, every apartment. There's a licensing issue. It's a problem. We can't do it.
I really thought that only license fees are required if you use it to collect any money.
No, our company has researched it.
Are you sure?
I'm 100% sure, buddy. Yep.
Susan, could I ask another landscape question? Could you let us know what is happening with the big tree near the sea entrance lobby? I thought I saw a landscaping truck out there this morning. Is that, I mean, I know there's been talk about whether it's going to be pruned or maybe even taken down. Do you know what's happening with that, please?
We're not taking it down as of yet. We are researching options, so there is no change. That tree's going to stay. We might prune it back, but there is no plans today to take it down. Thank you. Okay, well, thank you very much. I appreciate your time, and Happy New Year's to everyone. I hope you have a happy and healthy New Year. Thank you.